Good morning, Kinaway members, and welcome back to yet another episode of Kinaway TV. My name is James Brown. I'm a business broker here at Kinaway, and I'll be hosting this morning's webinar once again. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm coming to you all from. I'd like to also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which each and every one of us are tuning in from, and pay respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I'd like to also extend those respects to any Indigenous peoples who are joining us today. We're pleased to be bringing you another webinar as part of Indigenous Business Month, and today really excited to have Erin, Ralph and Fabian Pasquini from Austbrokers Countrywide joining us. Austbrokers Countrywide is a general insurance broking and risk advice provider with a broad range of clients in the commercial and SME sectors. This morning, both Erin and Fabian will be discussing why it's important to ensure that you're correctly and fully insured with the right insurance to protect your business in the case of an accident, mistake or dispute. And they'll be giving you a snapshot of the current state of the insurance market and provide an overview of business package insurances, public and products liability, professional indemnity insurance and additional insurances, as well as covering a few key questions along the way. For anyone viewing that has any questions, please feel free to post them on either the LinkedIn, Facebook and YouTube channels, as both Erin and Fabian will be able to view any of these questions and take them after the webinar. So without taking up too much more time, I'd like to welcome both Erin and Fabian for today's presentation.
Hi everyone.
G'day Erin and Fabian, how are you going?
Really well, thank you.
Very well, thank you.
That's good, that's good. Thanks for joining us this morning. I've done a bit of an intro. I did say it was in the morning, but I believe it is afternoon now, so my mistake. Really excited for today's sort of presentation. So once again, don't want to take up too much more time, so I'll let you get underway.
Great. Hopefully everyone can see the slides. So to everyone, Fabian is my name. Thank you very, very much for this opportunity. We're looking forward to sharing some insights. And before we start, on behalf of Erin, myself and Austbrokers Countrywide, just put up the slide. We do acknowledge the traditional owners of the land across which we meet today, their connection to land, sea, community and culture, and we do pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all First Nations and Indigenous people. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to throw across to Erin shortly. We've got an agenda and a fair bit to cover, so over to you, Erin.
Beautiful. Well, welcome on board, everyone. Strap in. We're going to be talking about insurance, which I know you'll all agree is incredibly exciting. To be honest, I think it's like one of your latest blockbuster adventure movies where we've got everything from hailstorms that have just happened in Queensland. We've got fires, explosions, the whole kit. Thefts, burglaries, this is what insurance is all about. And of course, the mountains and mountains of paperwork. So I can tell that you're all thrilled and excited to jump on board with me, but let's talk through the things we'll be covering off today. So as James and Fabian have indicated, we're talking through business insurance, what types of covers, public and products liability, the other insurances you can get to protect your business, a little bit about why we'd use an insurance broker, insurance markets and catastrophes, and some trips and traps to be worried about. So what we'll do is we'll jump right in and get it started and talk to you about what business insurance is. Now, for most SME businesses out there, what you're going to be looking for is, to start off with, is a business package insurance. So business package insurance, for people who may not know, is a group of insurances that come under one umbrella that protect small to medium-sized businesses for a variety of risks that they face. So when you're looking at business package insurance, it's sometimes your off-the-shelf products that you get from your general insurers and not the right solution for you. And what you get when you're working with a broker is a tailored product that we can talk about your needs and suit to your business. So things that are included under a business package insurance are a variety of covers. So you've got everything from your buildings against fire and perils, your contents and stock, cover again against fire and perils, business interruption, which covers the interruption to your business in following an insured event. So unfortunately, although it still is being contested at the moment, not cover for interruption for things like COVID, but we're more talking about those physical damage events. So heaven forbid, if there's a fire, your building burns and you're shut down for a period of time and need to cover your business costs while you're getting things repaired and back up and running, that's the type of thing that business interruption will cover you for. You've got your accidental damage cover in there as well. Theft, money and glass, which are always really important and lease requirements for many businesses, particularly when you're tenanting a premises. You've got your general property cover. These are covers for your business equipment while you're traveling out and about away from the business. So if you left your laptop on the top of your car and drove off and it slipped off the top, all those types of things can be covered under these insurances. Let's not forget your machinery breakdown, public and products liability, which I'll go into in greater detail shortly. And then the one we all love and enjoy, tax audit. So it's not, as you can see by the list of insurances that can be included in a business package, it's not really all that simple just to go straight through and pick what you need. And it's also important that you're not taking covers that you don't need. So, I mean, we're not, when you're talking to an insurance broker, it's not all about just making money. What it's about is making sure that you have the covers that you need and really only the covers that you need. There's no point paying for something that you're not going to use. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of what business insurance is. But I think the question of the day is always the first thing that a business will need before anything else is public and products liability insurance. Now, your public liability insurance covers you and your business in the event that you cause third-party property damage or personal injury as a result of running your business. So it's a really important thing. This can cover anything from slips and trips, and there's a lot of things that people may not know about public liability insurance. For example, if you're a contractor working for someone, there's no guarantee that their insurance will extend to and cover you. In most cases, you need to have your own insurance as well. Products liability is very similar. It's covering you for loss or injury caused to third parties as a result of the products that you may be selling. So, I mean, this is a really tricky one. So your public liability, you're talking things like slips, trips, and a whole range of other losses. Products liability really comes down to the product that you're selling. And the important thing to remember about it as well is that if you're importing products from overseas, then by law, you're considered to be the manufacturer of those products. So if something goes wrong with that product, it comes back to you. A really good example is a company that might be importing just something as simple and as innocuous as coffee mugs from overseas. Those mugs might not be manufactured properly, and when you put hot water in them, all of a sudden they either explode or the handle might break off and spill and injure and burn someone. So whether you've made those mugs here yourself or whether you've imported them from overseas, if something goes wrong, that's going to be sitting with you, and the person who's gotten injured, their lawyers are going to come straight for you, and that's when your insurance will really come into play. And the good thing to know about these insurances is that they don't just protect you for any amounts that you're legally required to pay, but it will also cover you for your legal costs. So even if what we find is in a lot of cases, you could find yourself having to defend yourself in court, or even just as it goes through the legal process to prove that you actually didn't do anything wrong and it was nothing to do with you at all. I've seen cases where the court cost alone can cost $30,000 or more. So, paying your small amount for your liability insurance really helps protect you and your business from those kind of losses, from those kind of incidences. And then you've also got your professional indemnity insurance. So public and products liability covers you for the actions you may take and the products you may be selling. Professional indemnity insurance really covers you for your advice, the advice that you're giving and breach of professional duty in giving that advice. So you might be giving advice. It could be anything from a personal trainer who's giving it advice on the correct way to carry out an exercise. It could be, a lawyer who's been given advice, giving advice in legal matters that is incorrect. It could even be if you're providing cultural direction into third parties, and in that situation, if you were to give the wrong advice and it turned out poorly, then again that third party could end up suing you, and you need to claim on your professional indemnity insurance. So I mean, these covers, professional indemnity, if you're giving advice or designing things, anything like that, you should definitely have it. But no business in today's age should be operating without public and products liability insurance. Sadly, we're turning out to be way too much like America. Our country's becoming incredibly litigious, and claims are on the rise. More and more people are taking action against businesses, and all you need to do is turn on your TV and see some of those no win, no charge legal firms advertising to try and get your business to encourage you to make those claims. So something to keep an eye out for. Now, with insurances, it's not just your business package and public liability. There are, I could talk to you about insurances all day and the number of insurances that are available. But having said that, I'll limit myself to a few here that are pertinent to businesses once you've moved past that initial stage. So, for example, you've got your cyber insurance. Now, cyber insurance is something that is really important to consider in today's current stage. Thieves are no longer going out and they are going out and breaking into houses, let's be honest, but it's much easier for them to sit behind a computer and just shoot off 5,000 emails in 5 minutes, and all as they need to do is get 1 or 2 or 3 companies to click on the wrong link, or employees. The highest number of cyber claims actually result from human error. So it is that individual who is making a mistake, clicking on a link, opening an attachment, and all of a sudden they have access to your systems, your information, and then they'll just lock you out and say, right, pay me X amount of money, and we'll release all your information. And even that is a trap. So you've got your cyber insurance, you've got your management liability, which is protecting. So business insurance will protect generally your physical assets. Your management liability will protect you for how you're running your business, includes things like directors' officers liability, employment practices liability, OH&S, those types of things. You've got your marine cargo insurance. If you're sending something, shipping it within Australia or overseas, strongly recommend it you consider it. You've got your contract works if you're building. You've got your personal accident cover, which is it's very handy. Personal accident cover for sole traders. As a sole trader, you're not always able to get workers' compensation insurance. And in those situations, a personal accident policy may be the right thing for you. But it's important to note with personal accident insurance that there is also your life and income protection insurance. You need a specialist license and contact to be able to deal with those insurances. And if you've got any questions in that space, we'd happily refer you to our countrywide advice team, who will be able to give you all the information you need. So anyone who'd like that information following the meeting, just reach out to us and we'll be able to put you in touch with the right person. Finally, on this slide, we've got product recall insurance. So if you're selling any products of any nature and something goes wrong with them, like the situations we highlighted before with product liability, you're going to need to get those products back and off the shelves. Product recall helps you cover the costs of getting those products back, and also the advertising and notification requirements involving those products. So we'll move along. As I said, I could talk about the types of insurance all day. So why use a broker? Well, I'm hoping that you'll see from the information that I've given so far that insurance, it's pretty complex. And if you're not dealing with it every day, then you're likely to come across some things that either you may not understand or that doesn't sound like you thought it was. Or you might not know where to go to get what you need. So that's what you get from working with a broker. We give risk assessment advice and cover review. So we'll be checking those policies, going through, making sure that they're right for you. And then you've also got your claims advocacy service, which is really where what we do comes to fruition. You know, insurance is only as good as a piece of paper that it's written on until you've got a claim. And at that time, you've got us there backing you and the support of a company like Ausbrokers Countrywide, negotiating claims and settlements on your behalf. We've got a dedicated claims team. And it also saves you a lot of precious time. You know, you can just get in contact with us. We'll run with everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, every claims process, you need some information passed back and forth. But if you're trying to handle it yourself, you could spend hours on the phone and in meetings trying to organize for that claim to be sorted out. So that's what we do. That's why you come to us for those types of help. So why right now we've got the insurance market sitting as it is now. I'm sure you've noticed, I mentioned at the start, we've had these massive hailstorms in up in Queensland just over yesterday, which has had some hailstones as big as tennis balls and larger. So we've got another cat loss. What we're seeing at the moment in the insurance market is since 2018, there have been numerous cat losses, which are catastrophe losses. So we're talking everything from hail to storm damage to bushfires. These all have a big impact on the insurance market. You'll see if you have a look at that slide that the insurance industry has paid out literally billions of dollars worth of claims. Now you ask yourself, what does that have to do with me? You know, isn't that what insurance is for? Well, yes, absolutely. That is what insurance is all about. But having said that, those heavy losses mean that the market has to, insurance companies are a business like any other. And so what they need to do to accommodate those losses and to make sure that they can continue to have the funds to pay out claims is that they end up doing things like raising premiums and restricting cover that can be offered. So this can make it quite hard to get various types of insurance at the moment. And also it can mean that insurances that you can get are costing more than they used to. A good example that I've got at the moment is a company that is selling children's toys. They're really great sensory toys, amazing wood construction, but unfortunately it's really small business and low turnover. So the insurers look at that risk and they say, if something goes wrong, what is this going to cost us and how are we going to accommodate that? And then it comes to premium and they say, well, I'll have to charge this premium, and it becomes not cost effective for the individual that needs the insurance. So again, these are the reasons why I talk to the broker. We know the markets that you can go to. And so that leads us really well into the traps to be aware of. Gosh, and the most important one, if you take nothing else away from this meeting, underinsurance would be one of the key traps that I would highlight to you. It's the biggest issue that we have in the industry. And I'll go into it in the next slide. But before we do that, let's have a quick touch on tricky clauses. Gosh, some of the ones that they come up with, well, whilst we always want you to read your policy wordings, we really read the policy wordings, and some of the clauses that are in there just defy logic. So that's we deal with them on a daily basis, and so we're pretty used to working through them. And also we have the backing to be able to push the insurers to read those clauses in a way that makes sense and work for our clients. Covers that you also, you've got things that cover you, may not cover you for what you think they do. I think contents and stock is really a good one. We have people who insure for contents and stock until they have more of a chat with us. They don't realize that that doesn't also cover theft. It's a separate section of cover. So it's really important to have those conversations. And also running your business from home, it's good to know that when you're running your business from home, it doesn't necessarily mean that, well, it doesn't mean at all that your insurance will cover you. Unfortunately, a business risk is one thing and a home risk is completely separate. And so even though you have your public liability insurance, which will be included in your home building or home contents insurance, those types of things will not respond in the event that you have an incident relating to your business. So it's really important to get that insurance up and running as well. So you heard me talk about underinsurance. Well, this is it. This is how it works. So what underinsurance is that if you're not insured up to full replacement value, it means that the insurers will penalize you in the event of a loss. It's not just one policy, it's majority of policies that are out there in the market will all have these underinsurance clauses. And what they mean is this, you have a building that you bought, say, 8 years ago, and it was worth $250,000 at the time. But over the years, insurance costs, building costs have increased. And now that building, and there's also all the extra charges and things like that, where you have to get different plans built in a different way. All of those types of things mean that now, today, if you're going to replace that building, it would cost you $400,000. Now, there's times where people think, well, I only think that I'm going to have a partial loss, and so I don't want to cover for $400,000. That's going to cost me more money. I think I'm only going to lose $250,000, so that's what I'll insure for. I have to tell you, unfortunately, that's a mistake that is commonly made. And what that results in, if you have a look at the slide, means that the insurers, when you choose to underinsure, they decide that you're choosing to self-insure for a certain portion of the risk. So if there's a loss, say there's a fire at the premises and it's $200,000 worth of damage, the insurer will say, right, well, you only insured for just over 62%. You're choosing to self-insure for the rest of that risk, and therefore we're only going to pay you $125,000. So really important to review that information and ensure that you're taking note, because it doesn't just apply to buildings. Underinsurance applies to buildings, contents, stock, and also your business interruption. So if you check your sums insured, make sure you're insured up to full replacement value. In that same situation where in one hand you're underinsured, the insurer only paid out $125,000. If you're insured correctly, you get that full $200,000 to be able to rebuild your building. And without that, where are you going to be? 65,000's, 85,000's no third time's the charm. 75,000, we got there in the end. Not a small amount to sniff at. So, it's really important to get that information sorted out. Next slide, Fabian. All right, so let's go back and talk about claims advocacy. So as I said, this is where brokers really show their value, aside from the risk advice and educating and assisting with how insurance works. Claims is when we really, you see the bang for your buck. I mean, we know the rules, we have the relationships with the insurer, and we have the scale, which means if something's a little bit grey, we can really push on those insurers to make sure that you're getting the best outcome possible. We've got a team of dedicated specialists, and as I said before, it's the hours that claims take to get through from one point to the next that you're really going to see the benefit in. When you're running a business, you don't have time to be sitting on the phone on hold for hours at a time trying to talk to your insurer and get information done. So let's talk through into some of the examples of where having an insurance broker can show you benefit. Because the thing is that with insurance claims, Vera have done a study recently that claims done through brokers end up having a 12% higher payout than insurance claims done direct. So if you're looking at this claim, for example, this is actually one of my clients. Now, what they did is they had some pipes that were leaking under the building. They went through and they actually found a solution that got them up and running quicker. So rather than ripping up all the floors in the building, they got the damage fixed. They got the pipes under the ground shut off, and then they ran a pipe up and over the door. Now, with insurance, this is one of those tricky traps. Because they didn't actually go in and do the exploratory and rip up the floor, the insurer said, well, look, we don't have to pay for all of this stuff that you've done. We only have to pay for this small portion, which happened to be $3,100. Now, the cost to do the work that the insured did in this situation was just under $9,000. So what we did is we went back to those insurers. We said, no, the insured has not only saved themselves money, but saved you money by taking this extra step. And we managed to get that claim negotiated back up to the full $9,000 or $8,950 that the insured lost, so that they weren't out of pocket and they were back into that position that they were prior to the loss. Another good example is, again, another one of my clients. And funnily enough, this is actually the piece of machinery in question. So this was a beauty therapist who they'd knocked a knob on this machine that you see here. And what it did is it broke off, and it meant the machine was broken, couldn't be fixed, couldn't be repaired, needed to be replaced. Now, in this situation, it came under accidental damage cover, but unfortunately the insured had only decided to insure what they thought they needed to at the time, and didn't insure up to the full amount and hadn't had that full conversation. Now, we took this one on, had those conversations with the insured about things that they could do to change their policy. But in the meantime, unfortunately, that underinsurance clause applied. So because this insured was 50% underinsured, instead of offering the $12,000 it was to replace the machine, our insured got offered $6,000. Now, again, this is part of what we do. So whilst I would strongly recommend you insure correctly in the first place, because even though we managed to get this claim paid up to the full $12,000, the reality is that took over 2 months, hours of negotiation, and a lot of goodwill from the insurer. So you really want to save yourself that hassle and time. And there's also no guarantee that we'd be able to have that outcome. So please do take note. As I said, if the one thing you took away from this is to insure up to the full amount, then you're doing well. Finally, I'll go for my last claim. This is a bit of a domestic claim where there was a burst pipe in a bathroom. Now, one of the things that insurers agree to do is they put you in the position that you were in prior to the loss. Now, with this burst pipe claim, there was damage to the vanity, there was damage to some tiles, and the insurer said, oh, well, what we're going to do is we're just going to fix this small portion. It doesn't match, it doesn't look the same, but, you'll be fine, right? Well, obviously that's not okay. and we jumped into bat for the client, managed to get their entire bathroom replaced. So it all matched and put them back in the position that they were in prior to the loss. So the difference in that one is going from $6,130 offered up to a $36,000 claim being paid out by the insurer. So who are we? You've listened to me talk for however long, who are we? What do we do? Well, at Ausbrokers Countrywide, what we are is we are a medium-sized insurance broker. We have 100 staff who give advice that sit on the floor with us. The good thing about that is that we have, whilst we're small enough to be able to have that personal connection, we are big enough in the Ausbrokers group as a whole to be able to have the power to push with the insurers and negotiate the products and the outcomes that we need. With our team, we've got a diverse range of people who specialize in different areas, everything from professional indemnity to cyber to liability, business insurance like me. And we've got 13,000 clients at the moment, and we're growing. So this is who we are, this is what we do. And being backed by the Ausbrokers group as a whole means that we can really push forward and help people when they need it.
Yeah, thanks, Erin. If I just add to that, and we've sort of come to questions and etc., but trying to go back to that slide. Sorry. Look, we are a large business, but we are privately owned. Together with corporate backing, so the scale and the capability to get things done is there. Putting aside broker, so I think the couple of key messages for me out of this presentation for you. If you're not dealing with it through a broker at the moment, have a think about it. If it's not us, that's okay. But just think about, obviously we'd prefer that, but think about employing the services of a good broker. Secondly, you notice that there's a lot in it. So insurance is complex, and unfortunately it's a unforeseen circumstance that occurs, and you won't know how good your insurance is until the asset test, until that time. So insurance, someone once said to me, insurance is like a parachute. You won't know how good it is until you've got to pull the cord. So unfortunately, that's the market we deal with, and that's unfortunately where you have to navigate through, and that's why brokers are important in that process. We'd certainly love the opportunity to talk with you about your particular needs, and we're happy to do that offline later. And I think, James, a copy of this presentation will go out to the members. There's some of our contact details there. I'm conscious of time. I think we're just slightly over, but I'm happy to pick up some questions, etc., if we can.
Absolutely.
James is coming back. Thanks, James.
I'm back. Absolutely. Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Fabian, for the presentation. Some really valuable sort of information there that you provided. And I think it's really sort of relevant to our members too, particularly in terms of the product and public liability. Cyber insurance is one that I sort of find interesting, particularly over the last sort of 18 months with, the majority of businesses sort of pivoting to offer the sort of products online too. So
over 65,000 cyber attacks in the last 12 months, James. And 30% increase this year on last year.
Well, there you go. So a really interesting sort of presentation. In terms of question, we yet to receive any that have come through for today's presentation. However, we just have one that has just come through, and I will just bring it up for now. It is from Elizabeth Little, and she asked, that was pretty comprehensive. What are some of the industries you specialise in?
You want to go, Aaron, or do you want?
I can go with that one. So, look, that's from a business insurance perspective. Look, it's really unfair to say we can do everything, but having said that, I mean, we're great working with trades, we're great working with hair and beauty, we're great working with property owners. These are some of the businesses that we have a lot of connection with. But having said that, I mean, part of the reason why I'm involved in general insurance is because I get to do a bit of everything. It's one of the favorite things about my role that I get to do is work with new and emerging businesses who are doing all different types of activities. We've got everything from tourism style risks, where you've got people doing bushwalking, bike riding, all of that type of thing as well. We do sports really well. We do jewelry, there's market stalls. It's really between the group of brokers that you have working at Ausbrokers, where we've got someone who does a bit of everything.
Yeah, if I can just add to that, Elizabeth, we are generalists, but we have divisions of specialty. So, market stalls is a good one. We are the brokers to market stall holders in Australia, in Queensland particularly. We are the broker to the Australian Hairdressing Council. And we have a number of associations, Quantity Surveyors Association. So there's a lot of that difference, and it will range from the corner cafe, who's doing it tough at the moment, to the car dealership. So it's broad, but specific where it needs to be.
Absolutely. Thanks you for the question that came in, and I believe that's all the questions that we did receive today. So I know that we do have your contact details that you present on that slide. So a lot of our members sort of jump online after these presentations and watch. And for any questions that we do receive, we'll be more than happy to sort of provide that information. And I'm sure you're more than happy to sort of work with any of our members.
Yeah,
absolutely.
More than happy to help.
Wonderful. Well, on that note, I just want to thank you both, Aaron and Fabian, for joining us today. Like I said before, some really relevant and important information that you provided, and I'm sure our members would really appreciate that. So yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Good on you. Thanks, James, and thanks to all the members at Kinaway.
Thanks.
My pleasure. And thanks to everyone who tuned in today. I just want to thank, once again, thanks Aaron and Fabian. A reminder for our members to tune in for our upcoming webinars. Feel free to reach out if you require any form of support. And of course, don't forget to like today's video, subscribe to the Kinaway channels on all the various platforms, and have a wonderful rest of the week.
Good on you. Thanks, James.